Hi, my name is Trevor Kemp, and I'll be doing a presentation over emotional influence for students in school. So, do emotions impact students' learning? I'll tell you that's a yes, but let's go over why. So, let's first talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the idea that cognition and emotion are interrelated, so that what you realize in real life and your emotion inside of you are relating together, and that our emotions influence decisions in our behavior, which, if we're influencing our decisions and behavior, then we must be impacting our school life there too. There's a four branch model or four emotion abilities that are very important for teachers to know. First, emotion ability to know is perception, which is the ability to see emotion in oneself and others from visual and verbal clues. It can help us with students to try to hide their emotion to see how they're actually how they're feeling towards a topic or towards their day to day life and different things. This can help us by recognizing this, help us build a better relationship with that student to see if they need uh, a little more support or help talking to stuff like that. The next of the four is to facilitate thinking. This ability to use emotion to help out in certain situations, including thinking. We can use our emotion to help our thinking. It can lead to high levels of adrenaline that can boost our energy in certain situations, but it can also be detrimental if your energy's boosted, then you may not be able to sit as still in your desk and focus on our schoolwork. It's important to see this in our students. That way, we can see if they need to, like I've done before, get up and do some jumping jacks or stretch or just uh, walk around the room for a moment to get themselves to settle back down and focus. The next emotion ability is understanding, which is the ability to understand the different emotions and their causes. It always helps, again, here, kind of tailing off our perception, is to understand emotion inside of us and also understand the emotions that our kids are portraying. Um, if we understand our own emotions, we can help our emotion management. And if we understand our kids' emotions, we can help them with management to see if there's telling signs of what will set them off, stuff like that. The last one is management, which is the ability to manage different emotional states. This can help prevent escalation of situations and know how to control your emotions. It's really good for teachers, as frustration is one of the biggest things that we have to manage. So that if a student feels that we are getting frustrated with them, it can cause them to shut down a lot. And I've seen this personally, as much as I would like to not admit it, but if you become frustrated, then it can lead them down a bad path that you have to retrieve them from. Helping them control their emotions too is a big thing. As we say, if we see those telling signs before, we can talk to them to try to de-escalate before they hit that height of their emotions. So one big way that schools can really help with emotion is called social emotional learning. We do a thing at our school called Character Strong that works with this, and I've seen an impact on students this year already. It creates more of a relation with the students, that they want to be more involved in my class, knowing that they each get a part in this program. It helps bring together thinking and emotion. So, it shows more for our students how their thoughts can be affected by their emotions that they're feeling. It creates more self awareness out of the children of their own emotions, and it also leads to better outcomes for students long term when you work on their social and emotional sides, not just their regular school content, because it will lead to better relationships that can build in life by not having outbreaks or different matters like that. So, another part we go on to is our knowledge emotions. In education, it's important to see this because it's emotions that have to do with learning, exploring, reflecting. There's four main knowledge emotions, and uh, they're separated from person to person by appraisal theories. Which this means is by this appraisal theory is that it makes people think about when they're having an emotion, or their emotions are based on if they think that event will affect them. Uh, if someone else getting an A on a test will affect them in the long run, if it will affect their curve, things like that. That everyone has their different emotions based on the same event, these same events. Uh, and they're based on how they feel the event will affect them. So, our four types of knowledge emotion. Their first one is surprise, which I had a professor that was big on this in college. A surprise, an unexpected event that gains attention. He'd always do it during our syllabus, and randomly, if it ever was a long, boring day of notes, he'd just smack his hands on the desk or drop a book that can be used to gain. He used it to gain our attention when we're wandering off or things like that. This can be useful for kids, just away from shouting, maybe a clap, something. If people you see the glazed look that they're starting to fall asleep or something during your lecture. Interest is always a good one to pique that emotion in students. It's emotions based on that want to learn. It can be helpful to gain attention and intrinsically motivate students to make it where they want to work on themselves and work by themselves to learn material, not just based on what you tell them. And it's similar to curiosity that to get students to lock in on material. So, like, if you can pique curiosity in students that what kids had when they were really little, of wanting to ask questions, if you can pique that again and want them to ask questions instead of just try to answer questions correctly, it gets them more locked in on what you're trying to teach. The last two are confusion and awe. And confusion is an event that is difficult to understand for students, so it's like not a familiar event to the student. Um, so this where it's a little difficult to understand or a little different from other emotions because it seems like confusion put you in a bad spot. I've had several students that I can see the confused look in their eye and it shuts them down. And I had to go and try to boost them back up with some positivity, stuff like that. But it can also be a positive emotion that I've driver towards learning. And I've seen this in a particular, usually my higher level students, that if they're confused, they want to learn more about it so they become not confused about the subject. The last one's awe, and it's something that people are amazed or fascinated with. This can be used to draw attention to learning by introducing never encountered matter before. The way that I can get students awe is usually it ends up happening at the end of the class whenever I'm trying to get through problems quick. Um, if I ever do multiplication with my younger students just in my head real quick and they're trying to type in a calculator that I try to discourage the use of, they're amazed by how quick I can do it by hand faster than they can with a calculator. And then they ask, "Hey, how did you do that?" said it's just practice and doing it over and over, and it has driven a lot of kids to try to get away from using their calculator. The last part of emotion is mind stimulation. So where our emotions come from is our mind. The more stimulation we can have in our mind, which we get more stimulation interactions in complex environments. So when there's more people pushing us to do things, we lead to more connections between brain cells. Where it can get help from this, not just as teachers, is parents at home actually pushing kids away from shutting off their minds, just watching mindless television. Uh, get them out, as I said, as University of Oregon said, on walks and reading books and just getting away from technology where their mind is constantly stimulated. This also helps with outcomes long term by creating a mind that is more apt to learn the material, learn newer material as it goes on. So, last question, back to our beginning question, do emotions impact students' learning? Yes, they do, and that's just what I said today about the different foreknowledge emotions, and about seeing how they affect each kid based on the appraisal theory, because it affects every kid differently. So if we can use these emotions uh, positively in our classroom to elicit the effects we want, to get people more, our students more locked into our material, it can be very beneficial to use these emotion source learning instead of letting them get out of control and end up working against our learning. There are my references. Thank you.